I gave a marginal thumbs down to the original Home Alone. I really don't like those burglars. This time I appreciated Macaulay Culkin more. He has a special gift. He is positively charming. But this time, too, I felt the burglar scenes were even more annoying. Again, marginal thumbs down for me on Home Alone 2, and I know that every 10-year-old kid in America is going to hate me for it.
Well, I won't hate you for it, Gene, because my thumb is not even marginally down, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I didn't even go for the Brenda Fricker scenes because I thought that they went on way too long, were overwritten and treacly and sentimental and shameless in the way that the little twerp kind of lectures her on the meaning of life and the meaning of truth, and she's so grateful to find out these words of wisdom.
Siskel and Ebert were known for their influential opinions, but even the most seasoned critics sometimes missed the mark. Despite their lukewarm reception, Home Alone 2 became a holiday favorite, earning nearly $350 million worldwide. Let's explore moments when their reviews sparked debate, from praising box office flops to undervaluing future classics.
But you can also see there, I think, one of the big weaknesses of the movie, and that's the idiotic behavior of the Los Angeles Police Department. There was one character in this movie, a deputy chief, whose actions are so stupid and so unmotivated and wrong-headed that finally he just brings the movie to a stop every time he opens his mouth. Bad writing. He always says the wrong thing. He understands nothing. And with a movie like this, once you start picking out the loopholes, and there are a lot of them, it doesn't matter how good the stunts or the special effects are, or even how good Bruce Willis is.
While not an instant box office juggernaut, Die Hard secured 4 Oscar nominations and redefined the genre forever.
I didn't learn a thing about serial killers from this movie. A much more honest, less exploitive film on the same subject was last year's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. By contrast, The Silence of the Lambs is a star-studded freak show directed by the usually enormously talented Jonathan Demme, who I think for the first time in his career has picked a surprisingly trashy project.
This is a tough film to review because, of course, in terms of its subject matter, one can easily target it as you have. And also, I think that the ending doesn't really work. Once she gets into the house of Buffalo Bill, it does become a standard who's behind this door, who's going to jump on me from the shadows.
With 5 Oscar wins and over $273 million earned globally, Silence of the Lambs became a landmark in cinema, despite any early doubts.
You know, it's funny, I didn't like the movie at all.
At all?
Except for one aspect, and it has to do with the violence. I think that some of the shootout sequences in this film are some of the most beautifully choreographed things, showing what happens in a violent situation, including the first shootout, which I guess really got hacked a little bit up by this rating because they took out some of the most gruesome scenes, and it's still pretty gruesome. But the rest of the movie, other than the violence, I found empty. I found, at one point, he marries that woman, and I can give that away. He marries that woman, and she calls him at the end a boring guy at the end of the picture, and I thought, yes, tremendously boring from the beginning of the movie.
Though divisive at first, this gritty crime saga grossed $66 million worldwide and became an enduring cultural phenomenon.
Was rooting for it. I mean, I thought, everyone's talking about it. When I saw it a little bit late, and I was not impressed. I don't know why. Other than to say that the action seemed to be pretty much routine. There was a lot of the futuristic stuff on the planet where this guy's come from. And that seemed to me to be just a Rector set toy making. The love story that you talk about actually is kind of nice. And I think that within that little love story is actually a potential for a full-scale film. If it had been about that, I would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Well, the whole paradox, which I won't give away, but the whole paradox of who that guy is and the fact that he and this woman fall in love,
that's nice,
is poignant.
The critics weren't initially convinced by this sci-fi thriller, but Terminator's $80 million gross laid the groundwork for one of cinema's biggest franchises.
There is irony in this movie and satire and comedy, but there is also way too much routine war footage. The opening scenes in basic training recycle material we've seen before, and there is more recycling at the end of the film, which is devoted to that firefight in the ruins of a burning city, a sequence that was shot on a giant set and looks like it and reminded me more of World War II war movies than of the Special War in Vietnam. We expect an original masterpiece from Stanley Kubrick every time out, and this time I'm afraid it's not a bad movie, but it's not original and it's not a masterpiece.
Kubrick's intense war drama received critical acclaim with an Oscar nomination, grossing $120 million despite its heavy subject matter.
Babe Pig in the City was directed, co-written, and co-produced by George Miller, who has made an even better film than the original. I was startled how much I liked it.
This is a magnificent, towering achievement. We're dazzled by it. You take any 5-10 minute section of this picture, and you think of the work that went into the construction, the physical construction, the wit of the writing, and the charm, of course, of Babe.
And every single shot in this movie is enchanting and delightful and magical in its own way.
So rich and wonderful, so you want to see it again. And I got an idea for George Miller for another sequel. Use the duck more.
Ebert and Siskel declared it one of 1998's best films, even as the movie made $60 million against a $90 million budget.
Another thing I felt last night, when this movie came out, I had a lot of reservations about it.
I know you did.
Based upon the fact that I felt it had all head and no heart. And I still feel that way about the film, that this is a cerebral exercise, not an emotional exercise. But the sad thing is, in the last 15 years, violence in our society has become so pervasive, so much more so even than in 1971, that by now I was able to share some of Kubrick's own detachment more than the first time I saw it.
This is a visionary film. It can be viewed as simply a cool thing, a punk thing, but I think that the power of this film for adults to rent is that it is visionary and as current as it was in 1971.
Ebert initially gave Clockwork Orange a thumbs down, criticizing it for lacking heart. The dystopian masterpiece still earned $114 million and 4 Oscar nominations, despite critics.
And you know what? Just because you acknowledge that a gag is corny doesn't make it any funnier. So I give thumbs down for the flying squirrel and his stupid moose of a companion.
Oh, come on, this was a funny movie. This is a funny movie for kids, and it's a funny movie for adults, too, because it has an attitude toward itself, and it's in on the joke. And I really was surprised how much I liked it.
Joke. It's in on the joke. What's the joke?
The joke is that these people are in a cartoon, and they know they're in a cartoon, and it's stupid, and they know it's stupid, and the narrator has an attitude toward it. But also, I wanted to defend De Niro. Now, you said, what's next? Anthony Hopkins doing Hannibal Lecter shtick. He did Hannibal Lecter shtick in Titus. And as far as De Niro doing his "Are you looking at me?" speech, everybody else on Earth has ripped that off. It's his turn.
Despite losing $40 million, Ebert stood firm in his love for this offbeat comedy, calling it a delightful romp.
Well, I know that that's what it's trying to be, and I certainly wanted it to be that, but it didn't work on me. The fantasy fell apart. Bull Durham, to me, of recent pictures, is to me even more pure about the love of baseball. I mean, for me, this is a picture that really tries to pull off a very difficult thing, building that baseball field in the cornfield, and I like the visual look of it. I'll never forget seeing the field in the field. But when it starts to collect the other characters and bring it in, the picture, I think, is just too ambitious for its own good. It's not bad. It's not a bad film. I didn't buy it. See.
This emotional sports drama overcame initial skepticism to earn 3 Oscar nominations and $84 million at the box office. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right here. Let's go. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, it's cool. You can go on and lie to me, cause I can see right through your lies. But baby, it's not fazing me, it's cool. Facts. I see them texts you sending me. You know you got them tendencies, and I can be your therapy, it's cool.